What's up, y'all? This is Travis, aka The Raw View. Today we're going to be taking a look at Barrow fittings versus Bitspower fittings, and spoiler alert, why I would buy Barrow fittings over Bitspower fittings even if they were the same price. So coming into this review, you need to basically just forget anything you've ever heard bad about Barrow fitting. The Barrow fittings I first saw back in 2014 are not the same fittings that are out in 2016. In fact, doing a little bit of research, I have found out that basically these fittings coming out in 2016 now are the third revision of their fittings, and they are phenomenal. So on the right, I have a Barrow fitting, and on the left, I have a Bitspower fitting. Now the Bitspower fitting is a little bit taller, just by a hair on this side. Also, you'll immediately recognize that the compression collar on the Barrow fitting is actually thicker than the compression collar on the Bitspower fitting. I personally like the way that looks. So the Bitspower fitting is a little bit bulky when you compare it to the Barrow fitting. The Barrow fitting has a much slicker design and also doesn't have that logo on the side. I actually have never been a fan of having the logos on the Bitspower fittings. I have always kind of wished that they would take them off, or at least give you the option of buying them without the logo on the side. So when comparing Barrow fittings and Bitspower fittings, anytime you have an angle fitting, Barrow fittings are going to be the slimmer design between those fittings. However, when you switch to this straight fitting here, right, the Bitspower fitting is going to be the smaller one of the two. The Barrow fitting is going to be slightly taller. And moving down to the rotary part of it, the grip on the rotary on the Barrow fitting is, again, a hair. I had to get out a magnifying glass to figure this out, but it is a hair bigger. It's almost not even worth mentioning, but I did want to mention that it was different. Also, if you look at the curve, right, on a Bitspower fitting, you can actually see where it goes from being flat to where it curves. There's like this line right here on both sides. On the Barrow fitting, there's not. It's just completely smooth. Like there is no, you can't tell where it actually starts to curve and go straight. Like you just don't see that, if that makes sense. Even if you take a microscope and you zoom in on the pattern, basically, that where the grips are, right, that is actually different. It's slightly different, but it's different nonetheless. And you can actually tell if you look at the top, basically, these diamonds here on the Barrow fitting are actually thicker, if that makes sense. They're bigger, they're larger, versus these are actually smaller. So aesthetically, I actually prefer the much slicker design on the Barrow fitting compared to the Bitspower fitting. I've never been a fan of that logo, and I'm also a fan of the thicker compression ring. So on the Barrow fitting, having the thicker compression collar is just easier to grip it, I realized, especially when I was actually doing a build with it. It's just, again, easier to grip, it's easier to tighten down. That being said, the rotary on a Barrow fitting is a lot stiffer. I mean, it's a lot stiffer. Like I have one of these in a really tight spot in Project Wi-Fi where I can't rotate the fitting all the way around, and I had to just rotate it from this. And I could do it with my fingers, like little by little. Like I was moving it millimeters at a time, where I actually just ended up taking some needle nose pliers and getting in there, holding it down, tightening it kind of that way. That being said, if you switch back to like a Bitspower fitting, the rotary moves super easy. It's like butter. I mean, they're really, really smooth, especially when compared to a Barrow fitting. Barrow fittings just are ridiculously hard. Internally, you can immediately tell the difference. The Barrow fitting has a 2 internal O-ring design, and the Bitspower has a 1 O-ring internal design. And now keep in mind also with the compression collars, you put an O-ring in between the compression collars and the tube on both fittings. So that means that this Barrow fitting now is a triple O-ring design with a tube, right? And the Bitspower is a double O-ring design with a tube. I also really like the fact how deep the tubes go down into this Barrow fitting. I love that, and it's the same exact thing on a single fitting. The tube goes really, really deep, and you get that triple O-ring design also with the flat fittings. So what's also really cool about every Barrow fitting you buy, you actually get an extra O-ring inside of the package. Oh, and here we're going to also go, I'm gonna go ahead and open this guy up. This is a Barrow fitting tube to tube 90, right? Okay. So when you first get it, it's gonna look like this. You wanna open this up. Open this up. All right, look at that, two O-rings. So 4 O-rings in here, right? And then in the compression collars, there's no O-rings when you first get it, if that makes sense. But if you look in the package, ta-da, they give you 4 O-rings. So 2 go on the compression collars. Oh, and then they just gave you 2 extra O-rings just to have. Okay, wow. Triple O-ring design. I love that. I love it. I think that's awesome. So if you ask me, Travis, which fitting do you like more, the Bitspower fitting or the Barrow fittings when it comes to aesthetics? I would say I like Barrow fittings. I like this taller compression collar on the Barrow fitting, and I also like the fact that on like all the angle fittings, there's no logos on the side versus like a Bitspower. Anything that Bitspower has that's this big or bigger, so any angle fitting, any T-block, any valve, they plaster their logo on the side. I'm just not a fan of that. I just don't like the way that that looks. So yeah, I would pick Barrow fittings. Now, if you ask me, Travis, which fitting do you think is safer, Bitspower fittings or Barrow fittings? I would say Barrow fittings are safer. And that directly has to do with having that triple O-ring design. Triple O-ring versus dual O-rings. Which one's safer? I'm going to say the triple. That being said, I have used probably over 100 Bitspower fittings at least in the past, and I have never had a Bitspower fitting leak that was the fitting's fault, ever. But that also being said, I have now tested at least 25 Barrow fittings, and I have never had any Barrow fitting leak on me yet. So that's that. And actually in Project Wifey, I'm using Barrow fittings in Project Wifey. There will be a link to it right here or here, one of those 2 corners. But there's going to be over 50 Barrow fittings in that build. Over 50. And if any of them ever leak during the quote unquote leak test, you'll know. I'm not going to edit it out, so you'll know. If you guys want to follow that build, follow that build, and you'll find out if any of those 50 fittings leak. I trust them. If I didn't trust them, I would not have spent over $200 in fittings for Project Wifey. That being said, again, back to the very, very beginning of this video, if I had to choose a Barrow fitting or a Bitspower fitting, and they were the same price, I would pick Barrow fittings. And that's the kicker, because Barrow fittings are cheaper. So right now you can buy Barrow fittings in a couple different places, but the 2 that I have bought from have been modmymods.com. I will leave a link down to them. They're based in the US, so shipping's actually really quick with them. However, right now their selection isn't as wide. Like, they don't have these silver fittings yet. They have only black fittings right now, but I know that they're adding to their inventory. That being said, I've also bought from an Alibaba Express store, and I will leave a link down to that store down in the description below, but shipping takes a while with them, and it's just kind of slow. Again, Barrow fittings, pretty cheap fittings, excellent quality, amazing fittings, and make sure that you guys are subscribed to the channel for Water Cooling Wednesdays. Peace.